I like that,
Okay.
Mikey. Did you do that?
Yeah, so guys, I did something stupid. I created an intro video, but I forgot to. I actually played it. We weren't live, so I'm actually gonna play it again. So Scott, we're gonna be delayed for another 30 seconds. I have to play. I
That's fine.
forgot to play
I
it
loved
while I
it.
mentioned it. Okay,
I
yeah,
love the
welcome
barking
everybody.
at the end.
Yeah, our production value is going up. We're about to take over the world. So Scott, how are you doing today?
So it took me to have a heart surgery on my anniversary a day ago for us to finally have some production value where I could hear some barking, I could see some video. Um, I should have another surgery. Maybe, who knows what'll happen to the videos.
Okay,
It's all
well,
good.
better late than never. So everybody, let us know in the chat, where are you watching from? We want to hear. We're just curious where everybody's from. We have about 500 people watching so far, and the numbers growing quickly. So yeah, so we have nice comments. Of course, it's us here representing in Connecticut. We have Alan, Tony, Monica, Rolando. Yes, the barking puppy is part of the intro. Yeah,
I love the
everybody's
barking
saying.
puppy.
Yeah, all right. We have Israel. We have Takestas, whatever that is. New Jersey. So, Scott, another fun week in the markets. Big story this week, I guess, at least in your little universe, was Amazon and Tesla finally doing something.
Finally.
So, tell us a little bit about what happened there.
All right. Well, I will say that finally, like this week was a big money week. I know for me and for a lot of my community. We could actually, I don't even need to show that chart yet. Um, just this is what I'm going to say. As a trader, the markets want to wear you out. I've been worn out. I've tried plays so many times, and I'm like, I'm never going to do it again. But then, P.S. All it was a longer range. It took time to resolve before finally making the move that you would want. And I've tried things 1,000 times in my career, and some then they go. But I would say that this week was really good. This week we really focused on two of the best breakouts that the market had, in my opinion. And I think a lot of individuals made back some paper cuts, made their second quarter, or maybe even the first half of the year, multiple ways, whether it was with stock, with options, and whatnot. And every now and then, you get these money trades that take a long time to really come into fruition, and then they go. So if you want to look, let's talk Amazon for a second, because people are like, Red Dog, what is Amazon okay? So if you go to Amazon, let's do you see Mikey, you just see Amazon up there by yourself?
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Never seen such a lovely chart.
No, well, I'm just saying, like, um, this is, I remember this was a week ago. This was June 20th. This is when finally Amazon woke up again, and right in here we started buying for this week, next week, and June 12th, the 192 and a half calls. I'm like, if Amazon's going to break above 191.70, it's going to get above there and should see close to 200. And P.S. This was another day that wasn't a great day. This day was like, oh my god, I can't believe Amazon's doing this again. Started to wear some guys out of my, and I was still in the stock and still in the options pick. Red Dog, like, that's a Red Dog reversal. I'm like, yes, it is. So it's going to need some time to work it off. But from where we were at 181 to here, I'm not so upset about it. And then P.S. Um, this candle happened where it took out 189, took out 189, took out 191.70, went to 194.80, and then yesterday gave you a move to 199.83. And I use a tier system. I'm like, guys, I'm like, now you have to trim, tier one, tier two, tier three. So as it happened, my first real trim was 197 ish. I took off three different sets of options, and then 199. I was like, now I'm down to 25% of my position, which I had on today. And then if you go back to the chart, Um, it went green for like a second. Okay, so if you go to let's put Amazon in here. I kind of felt as if we were a little tired. So if you go to the intraday chart, which is right here. Okay, so this was the morning. Okay, where it went from 196 back to 198 half, went green. So into that position or into that move, you have to be proactive. I was like, we just had a big move. I have some options left over. Here's the virtual trading floor. So what I did was I got rid of the rest of the 192 halves, sell. You could see the sells there. Then I got rid of the 195 sell into that move, sell. So basically, you could see that I reduced my last 25% of that play because that was how you maneuver it. We're traders. That's how we maneuver it. And I said, now we could probably come in and retest 194 and maybe retest 192. So what I'll do is I will buy the $200 calls only into weakness to stay with the trade in case it wants to take this out and continue in the 2 weeks ahead. But I took off most of the risk, and now we'll see what happens into here. This candle says, hey, you have to be a little careful because, again, it's a little bit on the defensive. But into this area, I will be buying the 200s, saying, hey, at some point, if this is going to be any good, it should continue above that. So that's how you manage the trade using a tier system, and we'll see how it goes. And if you look right now at the virtual trading floor, you'll see I started buying now the 712 200s. I bought into some weakness, and the 7.5s I bought into some weakness. It hasn't made a new low since. I only bought into lows, and I'll buy it. And then if it feels like it's not going to work, I won't buy any more. But if it feels like it's just normal, I will. I'll add to it, and then I'll be also on the stock. So anyway, that's how we handled that. And if you want to take really one more quick lesson, Tesla also. Tesla, if it when it got very, 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 very tight in here, this is when I was like, guys, I started buying the 192 halves for July 5th for today, and I was also in the stock. So PS, I added on this day, then trim some, which you could see on Twitter. I'm like, I'm selling some. I sold some in 197s. Then today I got out of the stock actually at 202, which was nice. And now you have a little red dog reversal. And people are like, does this mean it's over? I'm like, well, look what the 8th is. Look where it broke out from. So take that trade. So now we'll see where it is on the close. I might buy a little bit for the what's it called, for the deliveries. But ultimately, you have a 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, day 4 up to 203.20. You better be friggin' reducing and netting money, because we net money for a living. And sometimes, like today, people are like, Red Dog, I can't believe you're not in it anymore. I was out of it at 202 and it was at 203. Like, it's going to go to the 200 day at 206, which is a different 200 day. I don't have that one up there. I was like, you know what? That's fine. Let it do without me. You can go. Do it without me. So PS, now I look like a champ because not really a champ, but I got out of it pretty perfectly, where I had it on, I added, I reduced, got flat, and now I could buy back into the pull-in. But so those are my 2 best trades this week, and I tried to be as transparent as possible. And there we are.
Okay. All right. Okay, Scott. So let's talk a little bit about patience, because it felt like these names took a while to play out. And I mean, I noticed this on social media. A lot of people complaining, like, when is it going to be their day in the sun? So how do you develop patience as a trader?
You just have to. You have to try things here and there, and when they don't work, just don't get frustrated and move on. And then when they look like they're going to work again, you have to go back to them. And when they're in no man's land or not in an area that is conducive for anything, you just have to get out of the way. And Amazon it peaked in 2021. It took 3 years to get back there. So I get it. And listen, patience isn't easy. I'm not a patient guy myself. By the way, this is only water. Cheers. But patience happens over time. If you don't have patience, you're going to be shorting in no man's land, and by the time it gets to wherever it's supposed to go, You might not be in it. You're going to be buying, like you have to look for special areas that if you're wrong, you have some leeway. And if it's not at that area, you don't try it. So, same way in poker, you play Texas Hold'em. Do you go in on a four and a queen without any, without a suit? No. Or do you go in on a five and a nine? No, no. So you wait your hand, you just bide your time. I know it's boring sometimes, but you get that Jack Queen same suit, you're in. You get the pocket tens, you're in. You know the right hands to be in. We all know the right things and the right trades, but sometimes we get bored and we just do things that we don't want to do, and that could hurt, and that can cost you money, and that could take food off your table.
Okay,
Wow.
Scott. So,
By the
but
way,
I
spiders
know.
just dumped a little bit right here. Look at that. By the way, just to
Okay,
give you.
everybody keep out the spies are not doing so great. Okay, so Scott, but were you close to throwing like just cashing out? Because like I was reading in the note every single day. I have lots of calls. I have lots of calls. I have lots of calls, especially with Amazon. Was there a point where you were thinking, "Let me just get out of this and focus on something else"?
Yeah, I've sometimes said, "Hey, let me just salvage this trade. Let me get out of the way." And then sometimes, and I'm like, it comes to a point where I just needed more time. So, listen, there's always times where if the trade changes in your mind, you get out of the way and you just try again once you have calculated areas. It happens. I've taken trades off just because I'm like, you know what, it's not working the way I want it to work, and then 2 days later it goes, and I'm tired, and I'll go back to it. So, there's definitely situations like that happens. Um, so at this point, you just gotta know when they are, and then there's just certain things that aren't worth your time. There's so many things that happen as a trader that you have to deal with. Listen, we're not outside, digging ditches and laying, ceilings or roofs. We're sitting in here. I'm not in this Russian spot right now. I'm in my office in Short Hills. There's air conditioning. I have a little beverage. There's music. So how bad is it to be sitting here waiting? There's a guy in my office that all he does is sit there and watch movies, watches movies on his phone, and he just waits and waits and waits. And when he gets that spot, he goes after it. And you got to do what you got to do to keep yourself sane while things are not in a spot that need to be traded. Not everything needs to be traded as a trader. It's just you got to control yourself.
Okay, so in terms of mental bandwidth, um, how many things can you watch at once? And when do you know when it's just there's just too much going on and you need to focus more?
Well, that's why we have a go-to list, and we push things around. Like sometimes when something's really set up, it goes from the bottom of the list to the top of the list. Sometimes when they get up and go, they go from the top of the list to the middle of the list. So you have an A, B, and C list, and because there's only so much bandwidth you have. So um, as a trader, I have 6 monitors, and I have, like I have on one of my monitors, I have like 8 of these things. Like here, if you go look at here, or just so yeah, you have a chart. By the way, look at this, the way this just dumped there. You have all of these level twos. So me, I like to look at these things because it helps gives me some wherewithal. So I have one screen that has just level twos where I see the movement and the speed. Besides the daily chart, besides the intraday chart. So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of things we look at as traders. You have to figure out what do you need to look at depending on how much real estate you have. I have the luxury of being the chief strategic officer of T3 Live, where I'm a founding partner. I have 6 monitors. I have a lot of resources, and you might only have like a one or two screens, and you might be in your kitchen, your basement, or who knows where you are. You might be traveling the world, trading from a laptop without a news service and virtual trading floor. So it all depends on how active and how fast you want to do things. For me, I need to be really, really prepared to make really big trades. I just it just doesn't happen like that. It happens from preparation. That's why I always say you have to have your mind right, and then once the X's and O's tell you when things happen, you go with them.
Okay, Scott. Yeah, so a lot of people do seem to get caught up in the tools. They want to know what charting software I should use, how many monitors should I have, how many computers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what are the core things that people should really focus on, especially if they're struggling, because it can't just be about the tools. Otherwise, everybody would spend money on computers and software and they'd make money. So, what should people bottom line focus on if they want to get better?
They have to just focus on what works for them. Are we above the 8 and 21 day? If we are, we're in a strong trend. You're probably looking for good, strong setup, strong relative strength. Are we below the 8 and 21 day? There's not a lot of momentum. You don't want to have a lot of risk on. You want to be looking for possible shorts and only buying very carefully into extremes that are calculated. That's it. I'm a cocktail napkin technician. Futures go up, your stock doesn't go up. Chances are it's not acting well. You get out. Futures go down, your stock doesn't go down. You could probably add to it because it's showing relative strength and it can continue. You have to simplify things. If you go nuts on too many analytics, or you need confirmation of another confirmation of another confirmation, by the time you get your confirmation, you probably are chasing whatever trade you wanted, and then it has to come in before it goes higher. So I would say figure out what you do well and focus on that. Also know what you don't do well and try and work on that, and just just continue to evolve in whatever that is for me or for you. That's what I do. I just try and evolve. I know I'm not a great short, but there are times like a week ago Thursday, I'm like, guys, the semis are overheated, they're overcrowded, and there were a ton of people that made their year shorting the semis. If you look here at the SMHs, okay, go to that chart. Okay, that was that was last Thursday. I was also on Fox Business that day, and this is right here. There were some individuals that made their year shorting the SMHs, buying the puts, and then we went down for 3 days. And now, if you think about it, does this look bullish or bearish? To me, this looks kind of still bearish. Tried to bounce off of this 255, a push through, came back below. This is looking more like a bear flag. The semis are not that impressive right here at all. To me, I didn't trade the SMHs once today, and I only traded NVIDIA once, where I usually trade NVIDIA 100 times. So now if you want to look at NVIDIA real quick, NVIDIA is getting really, really tight. NVIDIA had it also was a great short. Some guys made really good money buying the 135 puts or getting short up here, and then some caught a bounce. And now, this is interesting. You have an inside range, and this will be very important next week. Does NVIDIA hold 122-ish? And or not? If it doesn't, then you have the bottom end of the range. This actually is forming a wedge. So I would say NVIDIA is pretty important right here. NVIDIA is forming a wedge, which is a pattern of indecision. What's a pattern of indecision? It's a pattern that people watch to say, hey, what's next? You had a corrective move, you bounce. Does it continue to the upside or does it continue to the downside? So I would watch this next week. This is very, very crucial, I think. So you better make sure if NVIDIA gets below and stays below 122, chances are the semis aren't done, they're not done with their rebuilding phase. And you should just stay tactical there versus carrying swings. And if NVIDIA isn't, acting well, chances are the whole food chain isn't really being rewarded, especially traders being long them.
Okay, Scott, it's 3:41 p.m. The market closes in 19 minutes. How much time do we have left with you?
4 more minutes.
Okay, let's get off the marker for a second. Okay, yesterday there was a really controversial event in American history. The entire country is divided. I'm sure you guys know what we're talking about. Scott caught a little flack because he was saying some very controversial things on Twitter.
No, I wasn't.
I told Scott to stay out of this. I said, everybody at T3 is getting angry. Do not talk about this. And what I mean is the Lakers' decision to draft Bronny James. Very, very controversial. Now, Scott, you said you were okay with this. Now, I think that you owe it to the audience and me to explain yourself on this one.
Well, could you show the picture of me and Chase? I've been, I'm a 2-time Ironman. I've done 8 marathons. So for me, I tried to train Chase early because it was what I was happy with. I had him doing mile races. I had him doing 2-mile races. And if you want to Google Chase Redler, when he was 8 years old, he has the 5K world record. Okay. I had to pace him for 1 mile of the 5K to make sure he finished it. And it was one of the most proud days ever, like with him together. So father-son teams, I love it. So there it is. There you go. That was me and him. You know, this is he peaked, by the way, at 8 years old. Don't tell him I said that, but it's true. Plus, look at him wearing the leukemia lymphoma shirt. You know, this is MAPSO. So I love it starting him early. And listen, LeBron started Bronny early. LeBron, you know what? LeBron might cry here and there about calls this and that, but LeBron is very. He can't be a LeBron he won a title with. I just can't even get into his whole career. He's had a very, very awesome career. It doesn't have to be the best. He doesn't have to be better than Jordan. He is the man, and he started Bronny early. And Bronny, whether he's LeBron or not, that he doesn't have to be. You know, he had a great high school career. You know, obviously college, maybe he isn't as, you know, as what's the word, decorated as someone else who might not have the same pedigree or last name. But you know, he's going to the Lakers. I think, you know, LeBron himself probably has 1 or 2 years left. His kid's there. He's done so much for the sport. It's awesome. You know, I had to retire when Chase was 8 because he was already faster than me and I was having back problems. I wish I was still doing stuff and was able to keep up and do it. So he's got the luxury of doing things with his son. I guarantee you the Lakers stadium will be sold out every single game. And I'm actually I was looking for the schedule to see when the Knicks are playing the Lakers, and I will pay a lot of money to have awesome seats just to watch and be there. And I think it's just a beautiful thing. You know, spending time with your family, starting your kids early, if they embrace it and you could help them, why not?
Okay, I just want to say that opinion was Scott Redler's and Scott Redler's alone, not representative of T3.
Yes.
Scott, I think the issue is I think Chase might be better than Bronny James at basketball. I think that's the problem.
No, Bronny's good. I met Bronny a bunch of times on the circuit. Chase, when he was in 5th, 6th grade, we were on the top 5 team in the country. We played in Virginia at Bo Williams. We played at Spooky Nook, this and that. He was like a junior at that high school out of California, with Cunningham too. They were like in the same place. But anyway, so just so you let you know, if someone asked me for an update on Chase, Chase is doing great. He's a rising sophomore. He's been scoring 25, 26 points a game in the summer league. And, you know, him also, he's about 6 foot. He wants to dunk before September, before sophomore year, and I think he will. He's having protein shakes. He's controlling what he can control. He had a 2-hour workout today with his trainer. Every day he's doing something. And if you want something, I will never, ever, ever be a dream killer. Everyone's like, there's no way Chase is playing D1 or the NBA. You know what? If he wants to, he can. So if you have a kid that has a dream and he's willing to work for it, never friggin' squash those dreams. I'm telling you, you do that, you're not doing your kid a service. Listen, have a fallback plan. A fallback plan is good, but make sure you're not a dream killer because, you know, dreams are hard to come by.
All right, I'll make a prediction. I predict Chase will get a full scholarship to a top 50 school, Division One.
You know what? If he does, the money that I put in his $529 every single month since age 5 will be his for his first house. I will not be taking his money, and if he does it, congratulations. I think he makes more in his NIL, but that's, you told me that anybody tries to steal his name, I'll kick your ass. But I'm just saying, like, you know, he's just a well-rounded, awesome kid, you know, and I think that the sky's the limit. So I'm going to support it any which way I can. So that's all we could do for our kids.
Okay, I think that's a good note to end on. Scott has 13 minutes to trade the clothes and squeeze out a few more bucks before 4 o'clock.
Yeah. So let me do a quick, tiny bit of we'll do like a quick fire, right? So let me get off this. So Amazon broke below 194.80. I'm buying $200 calls for July 12th. I've already took off this trade, made that money. I'm going to buy slowly to see if there's continuation. That's what I'm going to do there. Apple, pain in the friggin' ass, I'll be honest, but I know it. That's the way it's been. It's been sell strength, buy a dip, sell strength, buy a dip. It's still fine, but it's been a little bit of a pain. We caught a great trade here, if you remember, when it went above 198, 199, and now it's still kind of consolidating. What do I think real quickly for July, August? I think there's a chance if you go out 2 weeks, maybe 3, and buy some XBI calls, which is the biosector, or the XLE. If money rotates, I think those will be decent spots to watch. They haven't proved that yet. So real quickly, the XLE is trying to hold here. I am long the $93 calls right here. Remember, we were buying the 88s. That was awesome. I think the 93s are good, but I'm probably too close with the July 5s. Got to go to July 19 for the 93s. Some guys got me in the XBI today. I'm going to probably accumulate. XBI, if you remember this cup and handle pattern, went up here, came down, it's going sideways. So if you think the XBI is going to be a place where money flows, which it's not really proven yet, I would go buy the $93 and $95 calls for mid-July if money rotates there. So we're going to see how it plays out. You know, we've had two phenomenal quarters. The S&P, I don't even know exactly what it's up the first half or the Qs, but chances are the third quarter is going to be a consolidation quarter, maybe even to the downside. There's no way the Fed is lowering rates in September with the stock market going to 5,600. So at this point, I think bad news might start being bad news. What does that mean? That means every time bad news came out, the stock market went up. Now it seems as if bad news might start scaring individuals that we're going to start heading lower, which is what the Fed wanted by raising rates, by keeping them elevated to help with inflation. So at some point, bad news is going to continue to be bad news. The stock market's going to correct. If it happens over the third quarter, I would say if we get a 3 to 5% correction, which we had, remember the blood in the street account, which went to work really nicely in the last. Remember this? Hold on. By the way, let's end on the blood in the street account. Some people are asking me, oh, what do we need for the blood in the street account to get put to work again? Well, if you remember, a lot of you, sometimes you don't even trade for a living. You just want to see what my wife does in the blood in the street account. Well, this is exactly when it went to work right here, right around 49.53. That was below the 8-day. That was that corrective phase. And then I sold it a little early just because it made a new high. I carved out 5% for her. So now look at this. If this turns into a red dog reversal sell, chances are, if we head back lower, maybe this, I'm not saying it's going to happen. This is probably where I would put our blood in the street account to work again. And if we do correct 2, 3, 4, 5%, then finally maybe the Fed will be able to lower rates in September, not if we head higher. Bottom line is this candle is not a great candle. Sometimes it happens at the end of the quarter, and then you get new flows on Monday for the start of the third quarter. So I'd be light, but don't go out heavy short just in case this is just mechanical, which it does seem like somewhat. That was my little quick and dirty.
All right. Okay, Scott. Scott, you got 10 minutes. Go 9 minutes. You better go make some money. All right, everybody else. We might be back next week. Scott might be out next Friday, so we're not sure. But if you're on Twitter, make sure you follow, retweet, like, all that stuff. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. And have a wonderful weekend.
Yes. Enjoy yourself, guys. Life's way too short. Before you know it, you can't do things you want to do. So make sure you do things you want to do and spend some time with the family and friends. And just know that, anytime that number gets called, sometimes, you don't have, it's not your choice. So do things when you can, not when you can't. Later, guys.